Ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to another CryptoManiacs podcast. I had a question on my Discord this morning from Task. It was about 15 minutes ago. He says, "Is it Friday?" And you betcha, it is Friday. It's Friday in crypto. How you doing, Task?
Well, obviously, I don't know what freaking day it is. I mean, it's kind of hard when you wake up, you post, you comment, you post, comment, upvote, comment. I mean, it's sounds repetitive, but I guess that's what it takes. Although I should have known yesterday was the CTT call, so I should have remembered that. But anyway, I'm doing well. Doing well. I haven't checked the price of Hive this morning. I was a little late getting started, so I didn't have the time to fully analyze the crypto market pricing and how they're valuing everything, and whether I should just sell all my Hive and dump my HBD and just go and buy a U.S. government savings bond.
Sell it all, man.
Sell it all.
Sell it all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got some questions today, but before we did, let's give a big shout out. I don't know, I'm sure you saw it by now, but Brian of London with the Lightning bridge, right, for tipping and stacking stacking sats. Sorry, Bitcoin maximalists, I'm not up to your standards. That's pretty cool, huh? What do you think?
Yeah, I wrote a post about that, and Patrick, and I'm going to abuse his last name of sports talk. Urlick,
Yeah.
Patrick Urlick. He put up a post yesterday, which I linked in my post also, about a Bitcoin prepaid
Right. Debit
Visa
card
card.
thing. Right. Visa. Yeah.
And which now you take that coupled with what Brian of London created, and basically you can take your HBD, use the value for value app, the V4V dot app. You can turn your HBD into Satoshi, then send the Satoshi to this card, and it's a regular Visa debit card. So you just go, or Visa gift card, whatever you want to call it, and you just go and use it wherever Visa is accepted. So I think that's a pretty big move. And as a little teaser, we will have Brian of London on in about 11 days, I believe, right?
No. He's the first week in June, isn't he?
Oh, okay. Yes. So
We got Blaine on Tuesday,
Blaine,
Starkers the next Tuesday, and then
Starkers.
Brian.
Okay. So he'll be in about 3 weeks. So 2.5 weeks. Okay. So he will be on, and he was on CTT yesterday, and it sounds like what he's doing is, by the way, as a little tangent, he does have a new proposal up to get funded. So if you go to PeakD and go, or whatever you use, and go to the proposal section, he has a new proposal. If you feel so inclined, read through it, and if you feel so inclined, give it an upvote if you can. But it sounds like he has other ideas that he's going to lay out, and he's working on. So maybe he will have some new stuff for us in 2.5 weeks. It's always exciting to talk to Brian, and evidently there was something with Podping that in the last 4 weeks is getting a little attention. I only could ask the question to CTT, and Matt asked it and he answered it, but I really obviously couldn't probe since I wasn't on the call or as listener. So maybe we'll get some information on Podping, which he is, I don't want to say more excited about, but he is very, very in tune that a protocol, an internet protocol, is being developed with Podping. And that is huge because you get these applications that tap in. It's not like a user leaving and saying, nah, I'm going somewhere else. Once they set up their system, they don't change.
Yeah.
So, that's very intriguing. So we'll get all updates on that. But for now, the Hive ecosystem, the tentacles are just reaching out, and it's not necessarily a game changer in terms of sending us to $100 high, but it's just more of the evolution of this ecosystem that you and I are a little bit fond of.
Slightly, a little bit. Anyways,
Yeah.
let's get into your guys' questions. You excited to dive in?
I'm very excited.
Very excited. Talking crypto, talking Hive. That was the name of my. Let me adjust this here because everyone wants to see our face. They don't want to see, a blue bar across our face. Talking crypto, talking Hive. Let's get into it. So, first up, we've got Chris. He's actually in the live studio audience. Good morning, Chris. He's got one. He says, I was always told that tags and Hive are usually representative of a community token or both. Twitter tags are a way of organizing tweets into similar groups of information. I often see tags that are just for information based, such as in email marketing, crypto, etc. Is there any advantage to using additional informational tags? Excuse me, or are we just leaving tokens on the table? What's your strategy, good sir?
Well, first off, it depends on what front end you are using, because different front ends allow for different amount of tags. I don't know what CTP allows, but I think Leo Finance only takes into account the first 10 tags. So if you put 20 tags, it's not going to do anything. And some of them will, I think, like ThreeSpeak only shows the first 5. They will have the others in there, but they only show the first 5. I use a combination of both. I think information tags, when you're looking at SEOing, the content, having something, if you write a post about cryptocurrency, having cryptocurrency in there only makes sense. It adds another layer that the search engines can find to help with your content. And the other thing to keep in mind with the tags is we don't know how on-chain searches, which there's a few of them being developed, are going to evolve. So I think it's always important to at least put a couple tags of what is important. And if you have 10 tags available to you, I mean, if you're using all 10 tags to tag communities, you're probably tag spam.
Yeah,
I mean, it gets to a point where, come on. I mean, yes, you can use CTP if it's, business or finance or that type of content. Me tagging CTP for a photograph of my dinner is inappropriate. I mean, okay, it'd be a peak D or it might be the foodie tag, but it doesn't work for CTP. Leo Finance and CTP tend to go together. Then you got some of the other ones where you can link to maybe to get some upvotes or to get tokens. But again, it gets to the point where you just tag spamming. And I think having the information in there could be very important down the road as on-chain search mechanisms are built. I would have a feeling that the tags are going to come into play at some point. Just a guess, no concrete evidence, but that's just my intuition.
There you go. Yeah, I use a combination of both too. I mean, if you notice, like some posts that I make, I'll do the regular content. Like I'll put CTP, I'll put Leo Finance, just because it's usually the tags that the communities and tokens that I'm focusing on. But then I'll do things like I'll put listeners in if I'm talking about listeners. I'll do entrepreneurship if I'm talking entrepreneurship. If I'm doing crypto or investing, I'll do tags like that. So it's a combination. But I agree. If you're putting 10 different tribes up, that's tag spam, because there's no way that your sports tag, your Leo Finance tag, your CTP tag, and your SPT or Splinterlands tag are all talking to the same topics. Like that's abuse. So
yeah,
that's my opinion. So, thank you for the question, Chris. Appreciate you in Vim and on YouTube. We're everywhere. We're everywhere today. So, next question from Blaine Jones, who will be our special guest on Tuesday. I'm sure there'll be a little bit of listeners' discussions because I'm going to try to keep it away from the relationship Blaine and I have, where he basically just says, "John, I hate you, but you're a necessary evil." So yeah, it'll be fun. Blaine Jones asks, can you two go over all these nodes that are popping up and looking for witnesses? Why do they need witnesses? What is the purpose of having another node? Hive Engine is the biggest one, but 3Speak has or will have one. Splinterlands is starting one, and I'm sure there are multiple others out there. What are they all about? I also heard about something about CTP. Yes, this guy's hilarious. Yeah, man, what's going on? Like everybody seems to be trying to get more and more decentralized with these nodes. Splinterlands is charging you to decentralize their blockchain, which is fascinating. I guess it's not rare because there is other places where you have to have a certain stake before you can start taking part in the. I know Pre-Search does that. You have to have a certain amount of before you can get one of their nodes. I guess that's just a staking thing too. But yeah, what is up with all this? Is the idea behind it to decentralize more? Because still the bulk of these things, they're still pre-mine and it's still centralized. I mean, I guess 3Speak isn't because it's using Hive, right, to distribute everything. But I don't know, man. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I think you got to look at these things from two different areas. You have when you say you're talking about pre-mine, you're really not talking decentralization. You're talking distribution of the token, and then you get into the question of what is the applicability of that? Because if you're in coin voting, obviously then there is some applicability to it. So that's one thing to keep in mind is that's a totally separate topic than what Blaine is talking about, and equally worthwhile topic. In fact, Dan goes on and on about this with Ethereum and their switch to proof of stake. But from what Blaine's talking about is your infrastructure. And I think what it is people are starting to understand what it truly means to be resilient and to have that as a goal. And this idea that and Speak Networks basically built on this idea. That's what they started with, this idea of being able to decentralize your video content, which is effectively saying decentralizing your node system and having a bunch of different people running nodes. And so if you have a variety of nodes running all over the world with a bunch of people who don't know each other, you are enhancing your resiliency so that if some regulator, some government, some whomever starts to go after your node, John, in Canada, well, there's other nodes in Bangladesh and in Japan and all over the place. And it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. And that's one thing that I think when you are starting to look at the model, that's Hive's model. There's like I went through and looked at the witnesses, and I think there's about 120 nodes, witness nodes, that are in operation. You know, there's a lot more listed, but they haven't updated in 2 years and crap like that. But there seems to be about 100, between 100 and 120 that are actually updating, spitting out prices, and running. And that's 120 different computers that are running the software. So if you take out block trades, if you take out Smooth, if you take out Agro, if you take out Yappa, I mean, if you take out whoever, hell, take out all top 20 witnesses. Guess what? There's another 100 behind them who will just be more than happy to move up and keep running the software. So, I mean, you can get into this debate about, you know, how much is too little or too much for consensus. And, you know, I guess that's a debate, you know, that a lot sharper minds than you or I, John, could have. But the bottom line is, you know, Hive is pretty decentralized in its architecture, at least in terms of the number of nodes. Now, where they're all resident, that could be a different story. And that's worthy of taking into account. I mean, if they're all on AWS,
Right.
Well, then you got 120 nodes on AWS, and if AWS decides to destroy you, they could just flip it off. So
Right.
having different nodes on different areas and geographically in different areas in terms of their what they're running on and things of that nature is very important. So that would be my guess, is that some of these entities, and that's basically what Speak Network is looking at with both their initial look into peer plays and now what they're doing with Deluxe. Deluxe, their honeycomb software that Disregard wrote, is designed to, basically allow people to create multi-node systems.
There you go. Yeah, it's the end goal though is decentralization, right? I mean, that's why you would think most of these. Is it cash grabs for some? Maybe, I don't know.
Well,
But
I mean, Splinterlands may be doing a cash grab. I don't know, or they're actually not doing a cash grab because I guess they're just looking at, it's another way of stimulating people to buy their token. Plus, it is certain incentive that, hey, we want people who are supporting the network actually to run the network and not just have some clown show up who
Right.
has no interest in network. But I mean, it's like, could you say it's a cash grab because like Speak Network's incentivizing it? Yeah, but that's what you want to do. I mean, it's like with Hive, the witnesses are incentivized. That part of the inflation goes to paying out the witnesses to run the chain. So, it's, you have to have some incentive there for people to do it. I mean, okay, maybe you and Blaine do it out of the kindness of your heart, but there might be a point in time where it's like, hey, we want to be paid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not a for-profit thing right now. That's for sure. So there you go. Hope that helps, Blaine. And Blaine, if you have any more questions, you should come on Tuesday and get all of those questions answered. Our Pren is up. How do you fundamentally evaluate a cryptocurrency project? We all know to evaluate equities. You look at the balance sheets, the P&L, the cash flow statement. This is not possible for crypto. What equivalent framework would you recommend?
Just look at the token price, and if it's going down, it's a shit project, and
right.
The market's so smart. So don't argue with the market. Just if the price going down, sell it, and go look at equities.
Yeah, if it's not built on Ethereum or one of those EVM type things, it's not worth it.
That's a valid point too. Thank you for adding that, John. Yeah, I would agree. And another one is, unless Justin Sun's involved, anything Justin Sun's involved is probably pretty sound.
Yeah. We're definitely financial gurus here, folks. Honestly, beating a dead horse here, but this is like echo chamber for me.
I think I know what you're going to say, John. Does it start with a U and end with a Y?
Yeah. Use case, community, and development. If I see these,
utility
is use case, right?
I
guess utility. Well, use case and yes, you're right.
Use case and utility are the same, I think.
Yeah, give or take. But yeah, that's the big three for me. And I'll be brutally honest with you. I know that we make fun of Bitcoin maxis, and rightfully so. They're a little odd. Yes, we answered your question, Blaine. We just did, dude. And we said for you to come on Tuesday because there's going to be a very special guest on Tuesday. No? Yeah. But yeah, that's the big three for me. And I know that the Bitcoin maxis, get really upset, and they have their little thing and they're only Bitcoin. It's getting to the point, Task. I'm sorry, not sorry. I'm pretty Hive maxi-ish, I guess. I really, honest to goodness, don't care about any other project that's not on Hive. And yes, I'm probably missing out on a whole bunch of opportunities, but you know what? Use case. Most of it doesn't have it. Community. The communities are usually attached to price. They don't give a rat's behind about anything else but the price of a thing. And development. I mean, sure, there's development on all sorts of other projects, but I'm really, really Hive biased. I don't know, man. We should start a Shill Department. I know Trump man does he's the official Shill Department for legal finance. We should start a Hive one, maybe. I don't know. Um,
Well,
I would
Nathan had
definitely.
that for a while. He was 5,000
Nathan,
tweets a day and getting banned from Twitter because he.
Nathan's back. Did you see?
Yeah, he keeps popping in and out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd say I'm a Hive maxi because I know there's going to be a lot of other chains. You just can't look at ultimately the number of transactions that not only are taking place, but they will be taking place because the digital world is expanding every day. And if we take even a fair portion of what's on centralized servers and put them on blockchains, I mean, Hive and no single system can handle all of that. But I'm with you. I mean, John, I run out of resources on Hive to fill up on all the stuff that I'm interested in, let alone straying outside and trying to figure out, well, do I want to add more to my Matic holding or whatever? So I'm with you on that. This is where my attention is. This is where my focus is. I agree with you. I would say those three metrics, uh, utility, community, and development, are probably three metrics that are very sound to use as a prism for one's analysis of projects. And I think the other thing, and this may be part of community, but the nice thing about Hive is you tend to know who you're dealing with. And like
Yeah.
Brian of London, we were talking about the value of a Hive account. And he said to him, his reputation on Hive to him is worth like $100,000. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if he has $100,000 in his account, but it's really priceless because he has this reputation on Hive. He's a person we know. He goes and submits these proposals and he gets upvoted and he gets funded and he builds these things. And he has that track record of being dedicated and loyal to Hive. Now you go to any of these other chains and it's like, well, what is the reputation of the person? I mean, even what's his name, Do Kwon, turning out, well, this guy's reputation is that he was maybe a little bit of a scumbag anyway. um, and well, we made the joke about Justin Sun, but look at his reputation. I mean, this guy doesn't build anything. He just kind of copies and pastes and then plays games, bullshit to everybody. So that's where I think there's a major difference with Hive. I can believe in a listeners because I've seen the track record of you and Blaine. I can believe in a Leo Finance because I've seen the track record of Cal and his development team. I can believe in what Marky's doing because I believe in Marky. I can believe in the Three Speak guys because I know what Dan and Starkers are about. And, I think that is really priceless when you're looking at projects. And Hive offers that because what happens? You follow them and you get stuff they put up. You get shows they appear on. You get posts they put up. Try that on Ethereum. Follow somebody's Ethereum wallet. I mean, I know they call me Dan. If he gave me his Ethereum wallet, I wouldn't even be able to recognize it because it's like what 64 characters or whatever. If he gave me his Bitcoin wallet address, I couldn't recognize it if it was just posted somewhere and say, "Oh, that's Dan." You don't know. So I agree with you. I think there's so much going on with Hive, and we have people like you and Blaine. We have people who are not only developers, but there's also the entrepreneurial side of thing developing and people building businesses. And does Ethereum have that? Yes, but we know
Right.
Ethereum, it has the money, but does it have the utility? As Brian of London always said, it would cost them a fortune to run Podping on Ethereum. Can you imagine trying to do listeners on Ethereum? It would cost you guys a fortune. Um,
Chump change, though.
I would
Chump.
just be complaining every day for about 6 hours. So, I'm with you on that. And we kind of went off path because somebody asked us about Hive, and we can do that. But I think you nailed it. Those are the three criteria, and if you see that happening,
Yeah.
along with you, we'll throw in reputation, which you can find out pretty easily on Hive. Then I think you have a strong chance of seeing a project that's successful.
And I think the other thing is that, you say that uh, use case development community, that's something you can't find out in 10 minutes or less. Like you really got to like plug into a place to make, feel like what it's about and the feel for the community. And I think that's why you and I might be so bullish on Hive and Leo and the projects on Hive, because we've been around for a minute. And maybe that's not what investors want to hear. Maybe investors want to hear, okay, I want to look at the P&L. I want to look at the balance sheet. I want to look at the cash flow. So what do? And they can't do that. They'll look at price. They'll look at trends. They'll look at like, what does the token do over 6 months, or because it's never about the community, like the markets. It's never about that. It's never about the development. It's never about the use case. It's about price on the market. So that's another element, is that I think you need to put a little bit of time and effort into the project so you get a feel for it. And you can't see that on a spreadsheet, which is, there you go.
I think if we could use a word to sum it up, or if I would use a word to sum it up, is find the builders. Who's building? That's what it comes down to. Builders. Everything else is just a game. The builders are the ones who are going to have a chance to succeed long term.
There you go. Very good question. Thank you, Arpren, for it. My Path to Fire says, is there any update on the Ragnarok game?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, they did the claim drop, token drop thing last month, but I haven't heard anything since. That's an in development thing. When Dan was on a couple weeks ago, he spoke about it quite a bit. But it's definitely an in development.
I think he summed it up, John, by saying he hopes to have a working model by the end of the year. So this is not something that you're going to get a weekly update and shit's going to roll out tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for the question. Sorry we couldn't be more in depth with that. Crypto Notes reminded me that I can put a link directly to Hive Signer to get people to vote for my witness. Sorry, not sorry. I hate Hive Signer. I can't stand it. I don't like it at all. Does Hive Signer
rank up there with Ethereum?
It's not as bad as Ethereum, but it's just so weird. I don't like putting links to Hive Signer on anything because I don't know. So I get it. I know you can do it. It's just, I don't know, whatever. I just work here. Camillo, you love Hive. Good. We love Hive. Everyone loves Hive. Hive is very lovely. Welcome to the show. NFTBG says one tribe considers burning as adding value to the token. And then we also read other members in another tribe are anxious about the long-term sustainability of the token due to inflation. Can you please elaborate more about the appropriate use of both inflation and token burning in tokenomics? This is a really interesting question because I just watched a Chim did a feature last week, a Chim03 from Leotes, and he's part of the CTP tribe too. He does the CTP Swarm Booster project. He mentioned the difference between the 1UP token and the CTP token. And he started mentioning burning. CTP doesn't really do a lot of burning. We used to every now and again, but mostly we're putting it into distribution. We want the token to be out there more. So we developed the tips. We're putting it into listeners to get paid, people getting paid out in listeners for staking. So it's actually a really good question because this comes up, and he wants to know, can you elaborate about appropriate uses on both inflation and token burning in the tokenomics of different tribes? Tass, do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why people burn money to at this point. To me, that's just senseless, and quite frankly, it shows there's nothing going on, unless your original distribution is just so outrageous that you had a quadrillion tokens out there. People don't understand money. That's the biggest problem, John, and they don't understand inflation. And so I don't turn this into a economics monetary banking show. the reason why inflation is important is for economic expansion. And when people say, well, the inflation rate is too high, and I had this conversation, I've shared this on air before, I believe. I had a conversation with Cal about 2 years ago when he finally figured out what the inflation rate was, because I guess there was some confusion when you set it up on Hive engine. And he realized it was 25%. He put up a placard about in Discord about a token burn. And so I got on a call with him. I said, what the hell are you talking about? And he's like, well, the token's actually 25%. That inflation rate's too high. I said, bullshit. I said, if you have a 25% inflation rate next year on Leo, just have 125% growth. And mind you, at this point in time, we were talking about the Leo token was probably at about 6 cents. And it went within 6 months of that conversation, it went up to $1.
Right.
No token burn, no reduction in the inflation. And because the users went from like 40 to 1,000. And that's really what it comes down to. If you have any growth and I'll use CTP because you guys are doing this, you guys are looking for more use cases for your token. You're looking to distribute it out. You're looking for the token to entice people to come into the CTP ecosystem, to get involved with CTP talk, to get involved with listeners, to get involved with the different aspects. You're trying to build on top of that and build value, build use cases, and grow your community. And that's really, I don't give a shit if the listeners, or excuse me, if the CTP token has a 50% inflation rate. If you guys are growing at 125% annually, it doesn't matter. And that's really where the incentive is. Now, when you get into the elasticity of money, you have a situation where is there too much money in the system or too little money in the system? And that traditionally is tied to GDP and GDP growth rates and stuff like that. And then that could ultimately result in price increases if it is driven by monetary factors. The problem is first off, you're in the digital world. So you guys just start to put up NFTs, you start to put up different things like that. You can keep creating use cases that will never really cause a problem with the token. And that's where building creativity, ingenuity, innovativeness comes in. The other problem with the burns that I see is people aren't looking at these tokens as currencies and to be used for certain use cases. They're looking at these tokens as stock. Just like a stock. Oh, great. Tesla's doing a stock buyback, so the price of Tesla will go up, or IBM or Amazon or whatever. That's the mindset. Well, again, who's usually doing that? Is Tesla doing stock buybacks? No, because they're growing like crazy. Is Sears doing stock buybacks? Yeah, because they suck and nobody wants Sears stock. So that comes back to what are people doing with their projects? If they're developing, they're growing, you see guys like you and Blaine are always, even though you don't put it out there, you put teasers out there. Well, we got this coming, that coming, this coming. And, over time you roll out more stuff and more features, and that adds value. So to me, inflation is very important for growth, for expansion, and for economic opportunities. And then if you tie that to commerce, where suddenly you can use your CTP for different commercial aspects like paying your subscription, guess what? More CTP out there allows for more economic commercial activity because more people then can use CTP to subscribe to your service and whatever else you develop as use cases for it.
It's funny. It's we as you said, we do little hints and little sneaky messages, cryptic messages. But one of the things that we did over the past couple of weeks in our little sneaky cryptic messages is that we kind of explained not necessarily our roadmap, but what we got planned for different projects that's coming up. We're not developing new tokens for these things. It's all CTP. It's all going to run on CTP. CTP is our token. And I think that it comes down to this, and you can't see it here, but I got this poster up behind my left shoulder here, and it's something it's one of my favorite quotes ever. It's from Herb Keller, the guy who basically created Southwest Airlines. And he said, "We have a strategic plan." This is what the quote says. "We have a strategic plan. It's called doing things." And I think if a project is seen as doing things consistently, not necessarily big, huge updates and life-changing iPhone launches and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but if a community or investors or people see consistency, if they see that this tribe and the people behind the tribe are out there taking part in things, they'll want to be a part of that. That's why we harp on the CTP tribe in Discords and Telegrams to comment more, show up to these live streams more, because the more people start seeing you, the more they're going to want to be a part of that. And this is how I look at use case for different tokens. Like, if we see the developers, the community out there talking about it, passionate. What drove Leo Finance? It wasn't, no offense, Cal's a great guy, I love Cal, but it wasn't necessarily just Cal going out there and saying, "Hey, we're doing stuff." It was people like you. It was Trump Man. It was Belimo. It was the JK. It was all of these guys that were out there sharing content. Jay Fang only using Leo Finance to do comments on. People want to be a part of that. They want to feel like that's a place I want to be. So that's how I think you get away from the burning versus, just like you said, like if is Tesla burning stock? No, what is Sears is? Why? Because Sears is boring. No, they're not doing buybacks on Tesla, but
no, Tesla's talking about a stock split. I mean, they're looking at
so it's like, and that's think about it. Elon
and the market's going ape shit. If Tesla announces a stock split, the price of the stock will go up 10%. They want more of it. Here's one thing, John, I think that's very important. When you talk like you do, you're not dealing with tokenomics. You're not dealing with financialization. You're not dealing with any of that. You're dealing with business building. You and Blaine, what you're doing there is building business. So if we take the tokens out of it and look at all these projects without the tokens, look at a project with the token burn and say, do you think that has a really good future? Because it goes back to your three criteria you mentioned. Is there any development taking place? Now you look at CTP, you look at what you and Blaine are doing, you look at what Cal's doing. Take the tokens out of it. Forget it. Let's say this was just Web 2, or let's say this was just basic online businesses. Would you say there's a chance? Well, right. With what you guys are doing, what Cal's doing, yes, because you have updates, you have plans, you're dropping tidbits. People know Blaine is out there developing. Cal has his panel of developers. Things are getting done. It's not like, well, here's a post, we're just burning tokens. It's like, well, okay, that's well and good, but what are you doing? Right. And that's the problem with these projects. If this was Web 2 online development stuff, you need development. What's being updated on the website? What new features are being added? What's going on? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. If Facebook was still the same as it was in 2004 or 2005 when it rolled out, do you think they'd have like 1.8 billion users? Even though most are probably bots.
Come on, bring back the poke button, man. Come on. Yeah. Nothing better than the poke button.
I don't even know what the hell that means. But
you
anyway,
don't know what that means. That's no, Facebook
I wasn't on Facebook. But anyway, that's the point. Facebook evolved over the years. You look at the archive pictures of Facebook or Google or any of these, and you look at the websites today, they're vastly different. They have a lot more features, a lot more tracking shit too. But the point being is, I look at CTP, you guys are out there trying to build a business. Now, it's not necessarily for you per se. It's a community, but you're using entrepreneurial business building tactics. You're not just saying, okay, we'll burn the token and price go up, because price doesn't go up often. What ends up happening is people quickly realize there's not much going on here.
There you go. It's interesting. I love the way, and I don't even plan this, but I love the way that these questions kind of go back to back, because now we got one from David that goes right along with this. And he says, I see that there's lots of tokens are trying to get spread out more to more Hive members in various ways. One are tipping bots. How does the distribution to Hive members of the second layer tokens impact desirability and tokenomics of the specific token? I would assume that if you spread out the tokens to more people, it may just end up on the market unless the strong use case for the community to go along with it. I mean, this is perfect,
I
right?
would agree.
Yeah. That's the risk you take. I mean, this is the thing, right? I mean, we think, okay, we're going to dish out. I think we're dishing out. I'll tell you the stats, because Blaine sends the stats every night. Where is it? How come I can't see it? Where did it go? It's not here. 124. So 124 CTP tips were sent out yesterday. There's a chance that 124 of the tokens go on the market and people sell them. That's fine. I mean, that's the, like you're distributing tokens. You need to have buying and selling, or else there's no volume and the project is dead. There's some people that'll say, okay, well, this is a token that I can do things with. I know that if I stake more of it, I can give more out in tips. I know that if I stake more of it, I can earn more in curation. I know that it plays a role in list nerds. I know that Blaine and John and Eliana are talking about all of these new use cases that are coming up for the token itself in the projects they're developing over the next couple of months. This is a place I want to be. So you get these people that see it one or two ways. One, they just want to flip it. They want to get rid of it. They want to get their Hive. They want to buy whatever with it. Or the other point is that someone will look at it and go, look at everything that they're doing. And I think that's why we do it. We do it because we want more people to have CTP. We want it distributed more. But the big thing is that we want people to see that we're doing things. Because if they see that we're doing things, everything else will fall in place. I truly believe that. And again, I'm beating a dead horse, but I'm going back to the Leo Finance example. When Leo's doing things and people are fired up and their tweets are going out and Cal's doing his TikToks and they're doing their AMAs and they're out there constantly doing things, and there's Polycub coming and Cub Finance and all these people want to be a part of that. They don't necessarily want to get it in a tip and sell it. They want to get it and do things with it. And that's what we're doing with the tipping bots from CTP. We hope that people want to be a part of that and feel like there's a good place to be. So.
It always baffles me how people are. Because people complain when you have token distribution where 90% of the tokens are held by 3 people. And obviously that's an unhealthy token distribution. But then they start to say, well, why are we spreading out all these tokens? Because people may sell it. Well, yeah, but people might hold it. You want more tokens. And let's just go to extreme. What do you think would happen to the CTP token if there were 1.5 million people holding CTP?
Right. Yeah.
Because then you would think that an overwhelming percentage of that 1.5 million people would be involved in CTP actively in one way, shape, or form, whether it be in listeners, whether it be on CTP talk, whether it be on whatever else you guys have planned. So obviously you'd love to have the token in 1.5 million people's hands. And if the token was in 1.5 million people's hands, what would the distribution curve look like? It'd be a long, long tail. And the resiliency would be incredible. Yes, you'd still have people with, proportionally speaking, large stake, but their stake would be overwhelmed by the tail that is there of all these small token holders. And that's ultimately what you want. That's what makes like the US dollar so resilient is, I mean, I did a series this week about HBD, and it was basically, it basically was using HBD instead of USD and saying what is making the USD so resilient, what it's all involved in. And so when you look at the distribution and you look at the collateralization of the US dollar, you look at the derivatives based on US dollars, you look at the payment systems on US dollars, and you look at the investing and funding done through US dollars, that's fucking resilient. And so if you take CTP and you put it on a smaller scale, but you have, like in our example, 1.5 million people using it, you got incredible value. Because to
Right.
have that many people using it, you'd have to develop those use cases, or you'd have to give them a reason to hold it at a minimum. If you are treating it like a stock, which is fine. I love CTP. That gives me a stake in the CTP community. And the more CTP I earn, the more CTP I buy, the more CTP I stake, the greater my standing with the community. I think that's a great way of looking at it, even if I don't use CTP to buy stuff.
Yep.
We got HBD for that.
True. Very true. Yeah. It's just to me, it's, and I'm not one of these pseudo-scientifical people, but law of attraction, this is what I think of it. If you see things happening, you want to be a part of it, and that attracts like. Not, oh, I'm going to think about $1 million, it's going to magically appear in my hands. Oh, I'm not thinking hard enough. No, I'm not talking that, you crazy people.
Well, what also is very cool, John, about the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, but when you start to look at that tail and you start to see people, and we've seen it with the listener token, we've seen it, with Jimmy and the people at the top, but people start to want more. I see this on Leo Finance all the time, where you have somebody who has 100 CTP, all of a sudden you see them saying, I have a goal to get to 1,000 CTP. Then you got the people who have 1,000 CTP, and they got the goal to get to 5,000 CTP. And that's great, because now you not only have the wide distribution, you have people along the way on the longer end of the tail who say, I want to double, triple, quadruple the size of my account. And
Right.
they just start working their butts off, and they start, they're the ones going on the exchange when there's tipping and somebody's dumping. They're going and buying because they want it. And they say, hey, you want to give away some of that cheap CTP? I'll take it.
Oh, I always look for it. When people start selling index and they start selling CTP, I buy it all up. But then again, I'm a fan of my products. Chappelle says play to earn games are a good way to get into the Hive universe, and I've encouraged friends to get in that way. But the drop in the price of crypto and the presence of whales on these games that rake in most of the people's winnings has discouraged them. I hope that new games will be able to avoid this pitfall. What do you think? I mean, let's not even talk play to earn now. Let's talk about just regular video games. There's, let's say, Call of Duty, because I used to play a lot of Call of Duty. There's your Optic Gaming, FaZe Clan, top of the food chain gamers that like they could beat you with their pinky. And then there's the everyday Joes that play. The superstars are going to be really, really good at the game. They're going to win more than you. That's what games are. There's always going to be winners and losers. Now, in the play to earn space, obviously there's a financial element to it. And it's not necessarily like, see, for example, Splinterlands is a little weird because, yes, if you had $1 million worth of cards, you have a really good deck. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a great player. You might be able to win a few games because you have some maxed out summoners or whatnot, but you might play the lineup wrong. Then someone comes along with just a regular account, but they can compete with you because they know the game. So there's different elements to it. I get it. It's always rich versus poor everywhere in the world, it seems. Distribution hopefully gets that sorted out, and slowly but surely it'll get there. But to think that you're going to get discouraged because like the whales or the really good players are going to win a lot, it doesn't even have to be play to earn for that. Chess, there's grandmaster chess players. They're a lot better than Task and me. Well, maybe Task is a grandmaster. You never know. I saw the poll on Twitter that Belimo put out. You are 89% voted to be a machine, not a man. Did you see that?
Yeah, but I'm not programmed for chess or Splinterland quests.
Oh.
That's not in my programming code.
Not in your programming. You are an Android. I know you are, man. So yeah, there's going to be winners and losers in games and play to earn games. I get it. It sucks that, someone with deep pockets can get the advantage, but it's not play to earn for free, right? It's not called play to earn for free. It's play to earn. So pay to play. You're going to have that. But
Well,
yeah.
this is a question I have, John.
Mm.
And I understand, and we talked to Alindos the times he was on about Ponzi games, and presuming it's not a Ponzi game, which, quite frankly, a lot of them out there probably are, at least in the blockchain gaming world. But let's take Splinterlands. I come to Splinterlands to play, and I can sit and piss and moan about all those players with big decks who are raking in the majority of the rewards. But why the hell do I think I'm entitled to a vast percentage of those rewards? Because didn't those people acquire that deck some way, shape, or form? Didn't they put the money into it? Didn't they put the time into it? Didn't they learn how to play the game? Didn't they spend hours and hours watching video or researching? And here I show up and I say, I want to play Splinterlands. Oh, wait, look at so-and-so there getting, huge rewards when I'm here 3 days. It's the same thing with the reward system for the blogging. It's like people come on and say, well, nobody upvotes my stuff. Well, what have you done? Well, I showed up 3 days ago and I wrote three different posts and I should be on the front page. I write sensational stuff. And it's like, go try getting that shit on YouTube. Go put up a video on YouTube, see how much money you make from Google. It's going to take you 1,000 years to get to the 1,000 subscribers and 5,000 hours of content or whatever it is. And this is where it's like, well, wait a second. The people who are advanced in Splinterland, they either put up money and or time, or if it's a advanced player, they probably put up both. And so I can sit and piss and moan about my deck compared to your deck, John. But guess what? You put a shitload of money into your deck. I have nothing into mine, or very little.
And also, a lot of the people, and I fall into this category too, not one of the original OGs of the game, but you got to remember, there was a good 2 years of Splinterlands being built where you could buy cards, you could max out summoners that are tens of thousands of dollars on the market now for like $20, $50, because the markets weren't there yet. So a lot of these people had the vision to get in early. I got super lucky. I didn't spend a ton of money. I just got in just before the boom. So I'm buying gold foil legendary cards for $50 each. Now they're selling for $1,000 each. That's not a skill. That's just me saying, I see something there. I see something down the road. So yeah, someone coming in right now, they're obviously going to have a little bit harder time because it's more capital. But a lot of those OGs, a lot of those people with the big collections and the insane skill have been doing this through bear markets. They've been doing it when no one else was talking about this play to earn stuff. They've been there since day one. They've gone through, they've been crafted in the fire. So again, just like you said, no one's entitled to this stuff. Some people just take action on this stuff as it comes. Some wins, some losses, but you never know. You got to show up every day.
It's like Bitcoin. And how many people would sit there and say, oh boy, I wish I got into Bitcoin in 2012. And it's like, okay, would you still be holding it? Or because I see you're bitching about the price of Bitcoin going from 65,000 to 30,000.
Right.
How about when the Bitcoin went from 1,000 to 100?
What'd you do there?
It's easy to look in hindsight at a chart and say, gee, I wish I got in here and look at how much money I would have made. Well, yeah, that's if you held it all the way through. And as we see when the bear hits, what do people do? They all do nothing but complain and bitch and moan and say, oh my God, the prices are going down and going down and going down, and I got to sell, and should I sell? And it's like, well, if you'd had that approach with Bitcoin that you got in 2012, you wouldn't have made it till 2015 with it.
Yeah.
So, the people who hang in there, and Splinterlands is no different. Like you said, they're, well, hell, compared to where we were last summer, this is kind of a bear market for Splinterlands too. But there were worse times years ago, and there was less of a market, there was less developed, there was more of a you have to see the vision before the vision is before you. And those people who hopped in and took advantage of it, I mean, yeah, you have to tip your hat to. And it's like, oh, they were lucky. No, they weren't lucky. They pulled money out of their pocket and got in when there was less guarantee than there is today. That's not luck. And you can give a prime example to people saying, by asking them, are you buying Bitcoin today? Well, no, because the market's going down. Well, it takes a little skill to buy when things are going to shit.
Oh,
and
total skill.
Vision that, hey, it's going to be up in a year or 2 years or 5 years.
Yeah. Lots of geniuses when everything's green. Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, it doesn't take a high IQ to pick a winner in a bull market. But, that's what, and I'm far from anything on Splinterlands. I mean, Jay Fang makes sure to remind everybody of that almost on it's not a weekly basis anymore, but at least once a month he reminds everybody.
Yeah.
But I tip my hats to those big Splinterlands people like Neil McSpadden. He got into it, when it was not real certain, and from what I understand, he went in pretty heavy. So, he deserves every cent that he gets and all the value he has there. He fully deserves it because he took the chance when I guarantee you most of us would not have.
Yep. True. Finally, our last question of the week comes from Best Start. This is Mr. John Novak. He says, okay, I understand the reasons for staking Hive and CTP listeners, but what about other Hive Engine tokens like Leo and Index? Should these be staked as well? Leo, abso-freaking-lutely. Yes. Leo, yes. Index, you can't stake. So some tokens on Hive Engine have staking capabilities. Others don't. Some even have delegation capabilities. Others don't. Things like Leo have it all. CTP have it all. So they have the delegation, they have the inflation, the staking, all of that stuff. But things like Index don't have that. Things like Listeners doesn't have that. You do Listeners staking on platform. You don't do it on chain. So it depends on the token. If you believe in the project, you believe in the community and the token, like CTP, like Leo, like Sports, SPT, 1UP, etc., things like that, you would stake it to get more curation rewards, to upvote people more, and you take part in the community that way. But it depends on the token. It really does. But Index and things like that, you don't necessarily stake. It's you hold. Index, you just buy and hold. That's all you got to do to benefit from Index. You don't need to do anything. So,
yeah. Well, the staking starts with a lot of them with the proof of brain.
Yeah.
An Index is not a proof of brain.
Yeah. There you go, dude. We did it. Look at that. Under an hour too. Damn. We even had conversations. We had discussions. We had jokes about TAS being an Android.
William talked about Ethereum, and John didn't throw anything.
I didn't know. I'm happy for Ethereum people. Happy for Bitcoin people. You guys go be your maxis, and you guys be all maxis together and do whatever maxis do. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Thank you guys for showing up with us. Big schedules coming up. We got Blaine on Tuesday. We got Starkers on the 31st, and then I think it's the 6th, if I remember, June. That's Brian of London is back for I think his 17th time on the show, or 23rd. I'm not sure. Thank you guys for coming.
He hasn't been around lately. We've got like 3 months without Brian, haven't we?
Dude, I asked him to be on our 100th show, and he's like, you gave me like a 2-hour warning, and I did. I literally gave him like 2 minutes. So, anyway, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. We love everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys.
Tune in Tuesday to see Blaine. It should be interesting.
That will definitely be one to remember, guys. Have a great weekend. Toodles.
Ciao.